Hey everybody, it's Drea again. This was actually requested by a couple friends of mine to do a how I do the like the series thumbnail for Sinkstone It, where it's the full person pose. So I'm going to do that today. This is me about 5 years ago when I went to a certain magical childhood place. I had to smudge up some stuff because, well, Drea doesn't want to get in trouble with this big company, you know what I mean? So we're just going to avoid that altogether. Now this is me, but in this video I'm going to be turning it into Brittany. Why? Because she is the fancy girly type and this is what she would do. So step one is I recommend finding a good reference photo. I usually try to stick with ones of people that I know, so that way it's a little more accurate for body type and that kind of thing. But it doesn't really matter. You can get reference photos anywhere. Of course, give credit if you use something offline or anything like that. That's not yours. But as I use mine, all the credit goes to me and for Will for taking this picture. So, usually when I do these kinds of things, I pick a really odd color, something that'll stand out and not like mix in. Well, we're doing Brittany, so let me make it purple. Okay. Obviously, there's no purple, so it'll be fine. And I just, to start with, I do the general shape of everything. So you have the neck there, shoulders go out here. Obviously my hands are cut off, so we will have to improvise, which is fine. And that's basically all I do, is just outline everything. Not exact, but kind of get the general shape of stuff. And it's always a good way to learn anatomy too, because then you can be like, oh, okay, so from here, and then you have the hips. The knee always comes out to the front, which is there. The other knee is in the back right there. And this way you can learn curves and all that kind of good stuff. For the most part, for the comics, I don't use reference photos because, well, they're not exactly anatomically correct. So there is that. I'm going to keep that layer just in case I need it, but now I'm just going to do a background color of like a light gray-ish kind of color, and then just fill it. Boop. Alright, so that's the outline of the pose. Next we're going to get more into getting the shapes for Brittany. Once we get that done, then we'll do the clothes, colors, that kind of thing. Okay, so that layer I keep there, put another layer on top. I guess I can label these for you guys so you can keep up with what's going on. Okay, so solid outline is the layer I'm on now. So I'm going to use this brush, do it in black. This part takes a little while just because I'm trying to you can tell this picture is old because I don't even have my tattoos yet, and I started getting those quite a few years ago. And I know when I got them, so this is definitely about a 5-year-old picture. fingers don't bend like that. For the most part, it's all just kind of common sense placing for things. You know, other fingers go behind other fingers. And that kind of deal. There we go. Like I said, this part is not the most entertaining. It's pretty close, I would think. Okay, so there we have that. Turn the gray back on so you can see it a little better without all that checkered stuff. That's the general pose. Makes my legs look really fat. What in the world? Ah, that's because I did. Okay. We are going to fix that because it is bothering me. But for the most part, you just kind of play around with the image that you will use for reference, and you just kind of keep messing with it until you get the shapes that you like and that kind of thing. And I mean, really, that's all I do, is just mess with the pictures that I have, that I'm using, and adjust it as I need to. Okay, so there's that. Turn that layer off now. And then we're going to lower, we're going to turn off that. Lower the opacity to this. Probably a little less than that. There we go. Do another layer, and we are going to call this line art. Never would have guessed. Okay, so this is where it really gets into your style and how you draw people. I know what my sister looks like, so it's all just going to kind of be what I know from here out, and you guys can just watch as I do this. I'm probably not going to color it today. I'll just do the line art. That way you guys can see how I go from reference photo to the outlines, and then to the solid outlines, and then to the final line art. Because for me it all just comes full circle. So we will start here with her hair. This is where I always start, just to get the overall shape of the head. And I can also do a video on how I do this with paper. As far as reference drawings, both of my processes for that are so different. Mind the dogs. You'll hear them probably bark a lot in the background. Okay. And of course, if you need to adjust sizes as you're going, like I'm about to do, you can do whatever you need to as you work. Because this is really how you learn anatomy and that kind of thing, is to just work from reference photos, practice a lot. I'm not saying by any means that I'm a pro. I am not. I know that I have a long way to go, obviously, as you can tell by a lot of my comics, but this is how I did the Sinks Donut comic thumbnail that features me with the green shirt and stuff with the reddish kind of background. Which I can do the background in this one if you'd like to see it. It's just a bunch of squiggles, but I can do it if nothing else. Now, what should I dress Brittany in for this? It's really girly. Granted, I could just do what I was actually wearing with jeans if I wanted to. I think I want to go a little more girly than that. Let's see. I guess I'll make her wear what she usually wears in the comics. So, dogs, chill out. I'm going to have her turn slightly this way, obviously. But I know that was a lot of silence, but I just try to work as I go along. I'm probably going to rotate the legs on this part. No, I did not want to flip the whole thing. Good gracious. But I'm pretty sure you can see what I'm about to do. But anyway, she's wearing a skirt, so it doesn't really matter too much. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. Okay, let's see how this looks. Feet are a little small, so we'll just resize those a little bit. Which the good thing is, you can just go in with your selection tool, fix it, do it with paper, obviously. You can erase it and resize as you need to. Stuff like this is really not that difficult to fix. It's really just, you build the structure of the person, know where things lay out, and then you just put in the other shapes and pieces as you need to. I can't really tell you like, oh, this is the surefire way to draw a human body and it works every time and you can do it for every person and drawing poses is so easy, but really it's just you do reference photos. Reference photos are your best friend. I cannot say that enough. Either that, or if you're trying to get like facial expressions, get a mirror or ask somebody to make the facial expressions for you. I'm working on developing more facial expressions for my characters. It's just, for some reason, facial expressions are really hard for me, but I try my best. So that looks better. And when you compare it to the original, not that bad, not that bad. So we just got to get her arms in, which I'm thinking of changing her arm position altogether to be a little more in the moment of how she's moving. And the important thing is to know the shapes. Elbow joint is right here. So you have the two bones that cross over right here, depending on how your arm is posed. So you have that joint, you have two bones in your lower arm. So you have to make sure to get that shape right of the joint and the two bones in that lower part. I like to think of it as like a funnel, kind of. And it goes down. And that's how I think about it. And it connects to a slightly smaller funnel for the arm. And then you have that elbow. So here, curve in, and go around. That's how I draw the arms. That's how I think about it. Also, you know, you have, I hope you have, arms, in which case you can look at it and you can see what it actually looks like. Because like I said, just use reference photos. Use what you have at where you are. If you're at home, definitely look at reference pictures. I have a wooden hand model and a small wooden figure model that I use sometimes to do these things, and they help tremendously. That was terrible. Good gracious, y'all. I'm like, oh, I have a wooden hand model. I use it. Yeah, obviously not right now. General idea for the hand. I'm also not very good at hands, in case you haven't noticed. Not a strong point for me at all, though I am working on getting better. So there's that. Not saying it's perfect by any means, but I'm working on it. So we're going to change this into her waving, or with a hand up, rather. So where this elbow joint is, I've got it here. See? Ta-da! I don't know why I didn't have this gray background on to begin with, because that would have helped, wouldn't it? But yeah, it's all about reference photos, knowing, or at least having a basic understanding of anatomy. I took anatomy in high school, and I use reference photos a lot when I do things like this. That way no one can tell me like, hey, your anatomy is really fucked up. Sorry for the language if you're not into that, but you'll be fine. That is not the right tool. But it'll work in this case. And you can see like the angles of my fingers are not 100%, but I am not that worried about it. I can do what I want. This is just a basic video anyways. Alright, so now that I have Brittany's general line art done, look at them hips. Sweet girl. Alright, let's get a few more detail lines in here. Kind of show like that's all shirt. Like she doesn't actually go all the way out that far. Thanks, dog. That's attractive. Connect lines that aren't connected. That's kind of a important thing. Help kind of bring things into perspective a little bit. Maya, girl, I'm gonna pause for just a second. Okay, fixed, problem solved. Alright, so doing shading lines for detail, not shading. I mean, it technically adds up to shading, but okay, get them where you want. You can put them basically anywhere. I just use them for guides, really. Okay. Now I can go in on the face. Now you can use your actual photo for this if you'd like. I'm not, because that is not Brittany. So that's not going to happen. I'm going to shrink my brush. Major. God, I swear these dogs just keep getting into everything. Alright. Again, problem fixed. Smaller brush, I'm probably going to need smaller than this one. Let's go down to 2. Yep, that'll work. Alright. So then, find the nose line. Now there's all kinds of guides for drawing mouths and a lot of different lines and that kind of thing that you can use. But I just draw and see what happens. If I like it, cool. If not, I can always go back and fix it. To make that a little bit bigger. And I know it looks a little blurry, but that happens when you zoom in a lot. Faces are a whole other category of learning how to do. 'Cause there's so many ways. Oh my gosh. That you can do them and get them to line up the way that you want. And I know that a lot of different people have a lot of different methods. Whether or not they're correct, it all just depends on the person. And your style. I figure as long as they are straight and where they should be, I'm good. And we're going to come up here and we're just going to draw her glasses. And there we go. Collarbones if you want a little more definition. But really, reference photos. They will be your best friend. Vouch for them 100%. Now I can color this if you want me to. But I'm going to do background really quick. That is insanely bright. I want more of a purple gray. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. And then I just color. Which I could do a quick little thing for that. That way you can get a general idea, but really shading you just kind of use lines from the reference photos, like, okay, so there's shadows here. Let me turn off this. So I need to have shadows here, find out where your light source is going to be. It doesn't have to be where the reference photo shadows are. It just helps when you're starting out to do it that way. I did not mean to do this on this layer. Hold on. And it's okay for me to color outside the lines with the skin, because if you watched the last video I did, I always do the skin layer underneath everything else. Underneath the line art, underneath the clothes colors, and that kind of thing. It's just easier for me to have all of this kind of stuff a little bit separated. Now there are faster ways to color, but this is just how I do it. And again, I do use Photoshop. It's just my preferred program of choice. I'm not going to shade all of this, because then you'll have to sit here and watch me shade. Oh, also, I have noticed that I've gotten a few more questions for Sinks Donut, and I will definitely be answering them next weekend. So definitely keep them coming. Even if you have questions about this, if you want to see a paper version of this, let me know. Paper is a little bit more challenging, but because I've been doing this for, man, so long, it's not as hard for me to do it, so I wouldn't mind showing you guys. But for me, it's easy when I know what the person looks like. I know what my sister looks like, I know what I look like, I know what all my friends look like. So it's easy for me to just, I'll just throw them in a skirt. I know what their hair is, so I'll just give her her hair, you know, that kind of thing. Which is why I think it's, nope. It's so easy for me to do these things, is because I already know what we all look like. Because we are based off real people, so. It's just one of those things you gotta practice with, just like anything else. Just practice, practice, practice. And for stuff like this, doing it digitally, reference photos. Doing it on paper, reference photos. You know, but when you're doing things digitally, I feel that it is easier to have that reference photo. You can draw over it, or I know you can even have it on the side. That way you really challenge yourself to be like, alright, I have to know where these lines line up to and where they match up. And it's not just, let me just trace over this person's body shape. Nothing wrong with just tracing over a person's body shape, obviously. But challenge yourself a little bit by just, alright, let me work from this picture and bring it over here and see how well I do. Because you never know. It could actually turn out pretty good. You just never know. I'm going to give her her darker shirt. Even though usually she has a lighter shirt, but with that background, I'm afraid it might blend in a little too much. Let me make my brush bigger. Yeah, there we go. Now you notice when I'm doing the line art, I'd usually just stick with one brush. I might go smaller for the smaller details, but for the most part I just stick with one. When I color in, I use quite a big brush to make it a little bit easier, since I do color it by hand versus selecting in fill bucket. And because I do work on different layers and that kind of thing, for me it's just easier. What's fun about this is using a reference photo of me to draw my sister when we do not have the same physique at all. Which I'll see if I can do that, show pictures the next time me and Brittany are together. Which will hopefully be next weekend when I show you guys how I work on the comics. That way she can talk and I just work on the comic and we'll answer questions and that kind of thing. Which will be pretty interesting. So keep the questions coming. I'm enjoying seeing what you guys are coming up with. Ah, darn it. For that. If you want me to do another one of these, by all means let me know. Because usually for my fancier drawings like this, I do put more time and effort into it than just, let me draw a comic character. Which I guess that would be a fun thing to do, is draw the comic character version of this next to it. But we'll see. Okay. So I hope everyone is doing okay with all this lockdown stuff. I hope you guys aren't in the major cities where it's the scariest and getting through it one way or another. I hope you can find the necessities that you need. And I hope you have some way of being entertained. Hopefully this is helping out with that, even just a little bit. I'm not going to say this is the most entertaining thing in the world, but something's better than nothing. And if I can be a part of your entertainment, then I am glad to do so. I'm glad a certain person asked me to do this, because this has given me something to do. Alright, so she is colored in. There we go. Yeah, it's cute. Not perfect by any means, but when you're working from a reference photo of someone else and converting it into someone else, you know, it is what it is. I think it turned out pretty good. Like I said, by no means is it perfect, but from going from the purple outline to the solid outline, which, let me turn that back up so you guys, there we go. So from going from this to that to the solid line art, changing some things as I went, it actually turned out pretty good. I don't need the purple anatomy. There you go. So there you have it. This was really fun to do. That is terrible. There we go. That'll work. So yeah, if you want to see me doing the shading of it, if you want to see this next to its Sinks Donut form, I can. If you want more me turning other pictures into other people, you want to see the picture of the person turned into said person, like an exact copy. So if you want an exact copy of this one, which I can't guarantee because that is so old it doesn't look like me anymore, then just let me know. I don't mind doing these videos. I'll do them as often as you want, or not as often. It all depends how this all turns out. So yeah, this was fun. And if you have any other questions, leave them down below. I can elaborate, I can go over something again. I hope it wasn't too quick for you. Keep in mind, I've been doing this for years. It may not look like it, but if you've seen the stuff on Instagram that I think is actually good, then you know that I have been doing this for years. So yeah, just let me know what you think. If you want me to do someone specific, if you have someone that you want to draw and you want to do it with me, send me a picture of said person. First, get their permission if I can use it on YouTube, of course, for everyone to see. But yeah, just send me pictures and I'll go through it with you step by step. I do not mind. I think this is actually working. I should be a little online Sinks Donut teacher. This is pretty fun. Be a little more interactive, I think, but hey, it works. Alright, so like I said, send me your questions for next weekend's video, or this coming weekend. What's today? Wednesday? Tuesday. Okay, so for this weekend, send me some questions. I can answer questions about this, people specific. I'm trying to see about getting other people over here to help answer some questions, so we can get the ball rolling on that. I'm working on my secret project also. That's making progress. Tune into my Instagram for special behind the scenes stuff related to these kinds of things. And yep, you all take it easy. And like I said, if you need anything, of course, as always, just let me know.